recording.
Yo. Welcome back to the Out of the Box Show. I'm John Wells alongside my co-host, James Luffy and Rory Luke. The boys are back in town, back again like we never left. Rory, you look beaten and battered. You look bruised and buckled. I don't know.
That's a
I
good
was just
word.
thinking of another one. But you look good. Like you look like you have like a little bit more wisdom attached to you. You look like you have some relief in your eyes. You look like the next 6 months of your life are going to be smooth sailing. You look like nothing's going to change. You look great. I guess I think everybody wants to know. I mean, you took a little hiatus.
I did.
How are you after going through the trials and tribulations of setting the bar? We were kind of confused about that, Luffy. Or did you set the bar? Did you beat the bar? Tell us about your experience with the bar.
I don't know why it's called. I guess because you have to meet the bar. That's probably what it is.
There's your answer, John.
So you're average. You're just an average Joe.
I mean, it's a minimum competency test. So I just have to be minimally competent. But I won't find that out till what is that? Almost over 2 months from now, October 7th.
Woo.
They should give you extra points, give you a report on how you did, and that way you can leverage your position at your company. If you have a job lined up and whatnot. I'm not saying you, but just in general, you could maybe do what was the guy in the office that leveraged his position with Staples. Anyway, this is about you. I don't know why.
I don't even know. I don't know if they give you the score if you pass. They just tell you that you pass.
It's just pass or fail.
If you fail, I know they give you the score.
The score, yeah.
Yeah, so you know what you did bad on. And then even if I pass, I wouldn't look at my score just because there's no point. If I pass, I pass. So it's 9 tests, and then there's 5 code tests, which is Louisiana law, and those are worth more. They're worth 120 points each, and then there's 4 non-code tests, which are worth 75 points each. And then so you have to get a 650 out of 900 to pass.
I like it.
So if any of us ever get in trouble, can you get us off?
Not yet. I mean, we'll see October 7th.
Yeah.
Also, it depends on your trouble.
Big day. That next day, we got Tennessee at home. So that could either be like a celebration or a celebration. Either way.
I'll probably have to miss Tennessee at home if I had to guess.
No, I think you're
coming.
in position to make every tailgate this summer, kid on the way or not. We do make onesies for
John James is coming to the game.
John James. We make, and John and James will be there too.
That's right.
We make onesies for infants. But Rory, all that to say, joking aside, it is great to have you back. We've been missing you. We would be remiss if we didn't shout out our awesome unpaid intern, Mr. Chris Calderera, for filling in for you. He, like me and Luffy talk about it every time we went off the air. It was like he comes with the stats. He does his homework. He doesn't come in half cocked. He's
always fully loaded.
He's a wealth of knowledge and just a great if 4 people talking just at a time could work, we would do it. But we're all very busy, and we are all very appreciative of Mr. Chris for filling in. And
yes,
he will be the guest contributor anytime one of us can't make it. So
of course,
thank you to Chris, and shout out to the Boot Crew Media Network. BootCrewMedia.com. Chris Calderera looked back at the Ole Miss game in 2014 in Tiger Stadium, where LSU came from behind. And by that, I mean as underdogs. Ole Miss was number 3 coming in. lot of old names in there. It is funny looking at all of his articles. It makes you like think about like as we were growing up, like you remember these players that you haven't thought of in a long time. And for us, we're, 25, 26 in age and all that. And it's like those were like the glory days of our like love for LSU football being formed, if that makes sense, right? So like you have Leonard Fournette and players like that, and even players for other teams. Like whenever we played Ole Miss, like you look at the name, you're like, oh my God, I remember him. And then you have a midlife crisis. You're like, wow, that was almost 10 years ago. But all that to say, BookerMedia.com. Make sure to check out Chris's Countdown to Kickoff column every week. Also, Boot Crew Media Golf Tournament, August 12th. I'll be out there serving waters.
John's gonna win the long drive contest.
I cannot participate.
No doubt.
Because I will be
back injury.
I will be that, and I will be serving waters. So, also, one of the greatest things you can do over the summer is play golf. And in the same way that the greatest thing you can do during the summer is play golf, the greatest thing you can do if you're looking to buy, sell, rent out a home, or find people to rent your place, get Blaine Loop to be your realtor. 504-858-0031 for all your housing needs. Blaine will be, I'm predicting, Blaine will be at a tailgate this year. Blaine wants to meet his out-the-box listeners that would like help finding the home of their dreams, selling the home of your dreams, or finding renters to live in your investment property, or finding you a place to rent. Blaine does it all. Make sure to call or text him at 504-858-0031 for all your housing needs. All right. Packed show for you guys. We normally say it kind of before the little ramble, but we're going to do a little off the charts offensive line preview. Rory's specialty. Rory has actually put his hand down on the grass that Les Miles used to eat in Tiger Stadium on the offensive line. So Rory has pages and pages of notes, and he's going to spread his wealth of knowledge to you guys.
I have a lot of questions for Rory. I do.
I do too, and none of them are related to the offensive line. But we're going to get
John's
to that.
just been asking law questions every week. And he's like looking at me like, he's like, well, we need Rory to answer this. Then he asked the question. I'm like, I don't know, dude.
We almost called you like whenever we recorded last Tuesday night. And we were just going to ask you a dumb argument that we had on the podcast, but
I would not have answered last Tuesday night.
We abstained. We're going to talk a little Tyrann Mathieu, a little drama going on with Tyrann Mathieu at the Saints. Kind of been a little hush hush. We're going to talk to them, and then we're going to wrap up the show with the House Always Wins segment presented by the House Bar in Tigerland. But all right, we're switching sides. We've been on the defensive. We covered all that. I'd say, by the way, we, mainly y'all, did a fantastic job breaking down the depth chart defensively. Now you got to switch.
My notes
gears.
are piling up over here, John.
They really are. I look at them every single week, and I'm like, I honestly am amazed. Like Lovey said, this is where you learn about football. This dull period during the summer. Offensive line.
Yeah.
What do we got?
All right, Rory, do you want to start at center? Because I feel like this is kind of the most important spot maybe this year. And I think it's between Charles Turner. He started there in the spring game.
Yeah.
But a guy that I'm interested to see if he can go win this job. And I don't know if they'll play him there right away. He was hurt in the spring, Garrett Dellinger. He's a sophomore this year. He hurt his shoulder, I believe, wasn't able to practice in the spring. And I think that you really want – I feel like Charles Turner is like the kind of the constant there, but you really want someone, whether it's him or whether it's Dellinger or Marlon Martinez, the junior, to go win that job.
And this is a spot – I mean, I think what Brad Davis said in the spring that he was trying out 10 different guys here, or 10 different guys were snapping the football. Which, I mean, means you don't have much confidence in, your guy there or, Charles Turner, I think, is kind of what it tells me is that he doesn't have much confidence in Charles Turner or doesn't want to rely solely on Charles Turner. Not saying that it can't be good. But, I mean, I agree with you. I think this is a key spot. Obviously, center is always a key spot, but it's also probably, I mean, one of the most up in the open for sure. I think center and
Yeah.
then maybe one guard spot.
Yeah,
But
and I mean, is it going to be hard for Dellinger to come back? And since he didn't get to play there in the spring and win that job, I think Marlon Martinez was running with the second team
mhm.
during the spring game. He's in his third year. I believe it's his third year. Yeah. And I mean, I just feel like at that point, can an offensive lineman can he make that jump? Like if they haven't really seen it in the past, I mean, what do you think about that, Rory? Could he be a breakout star, or is it kind of too far gone if they haven't really talked about him much leading up to his junior year?
I think he can definitely be a serviceable player. I mean, and if you think about it, first talk about Marlon. Now I want to get to Garrett Dellinger as well because I really like Garrett Dellinger. But
Yeah,
I mean, you think about we're so used to young guys coming in playing really well, kind of making them a name for themselves early on, kind of exploding onto the scene. It's hard to do that as an offensive lineman, and we've said this a bunch of times. Offensive line is one of the hardest positions to play. First off, and then it's also one of the hardest positions to play in the SEC. As an offensive lineman, you're in high school. You're pretty much, except for when you go to the camps or if you play at one of the big Texas schools or one of the big California schools. You're seeing guys that aren't your size, always. And even if you do go up against, another 3, 4, 5-star type of guy, it's not really, you're never really seeing them one on one. You don't want to put best on best. If I got the best defensive end and the best offensive lineman, I don't want my best defensive end going up against the best offensive lineman. I want him going up against the
sure.
worst guy.
And I mean, I
So,
think that's part of the reason that position is so hard to evaluate coming out of high school. It's probably the second hardest besides quarterback, I'd say.
yeah. Yeah, I think I agree 100%. I think that's why you can have you have big time recruits that never really pan out, but then you have small time recruits and it's really one of the few positions where you can see small schools and other uh FCS, and I mean I'm thinking the Saints and Penning this year, or Eric Fisher from
Sure.
Central Michigan going first overall. Small school guys make the almost tight end to offensive lineman transition, and take that time. So back, making full circle here. I think it doesn't worry me that he's a junior and he hasn't really played yet. It's a hard position. Offensive line can be completely different from what you're taught in high school. It's a hard position to learn. There's not really one set of coaching that goes across all boards. Different coaches have different styles. Some coaches better than others in high school and in college. So it's a tough position to learn. Some people have a steeper learning curve than others, and we'll definitely get to that later when we talk about some freshmen that might be getting playing time.
Yeah.
So
and you said you want to talk about Dellinger, Rory. So he then starting from left to right in the spring was Campbell, Tremont Shorts, Charles Turner, Miles Frazier, Cameron Wire.
yeah,
But I feel like Dellinger is going to make his way somewhere. I think he's got a potential to play any of the 5 positions on the offensive line.
I think in the ideal world, you can put him in there and plug him in at center and have him play center. But center is a tough position, the hardest, probably one of the hardest positions on the offensive line. Just because you kind of have to man the offense.
Yeah, sure.
You have to be on point. You have to kind of know it like the back. You have to know the offense like the back of your hand. It brings me back to when I played with Lloyd. Lloyd was a 3-star recruit, not a big guy, but knew the offense like the back of his hand. Nobody knew the offense better than Lloyd. and played hard-nosed football. And if you can get that, ideally you want that out of your center, whether that's Garrett Dellinger or not. I think even if he's not playing center, I agree. I think that he is your sixth man or he's fighting for a spot in that five. I think he's a very good player and deserves to have his name be up in the consideration for the starting five.
Yes, I mean, if you want to go ahead and move on to left guard, I think that's probably going to be between Tremont Shorts, the
Eastern
transfer from
Tennessee.
Eastern Tennessee State.
Yeah, Eastern Tennessee State.
Big dude, 6'5", 340. I think he has either 1 or 2 more years left, maybe only 1. And then Xavier Hill, the sophomore, big sophomore from Mississippi. He's one of those guys too that like I want him to be pushing Shorts because that makes me feel good about like the depth of the O-line and him in the future because he was a pretty highly recruited guy and he looks like a big guard. So I think that, Shorts will probably get the nod, maybe a little bit more experience. He's got some starts under his belt, but you'd like to hear in the spring that Xavier Hill was pushing him.
Yeah, and Shorts is a guy who All-American FCS. And so it'll be interesting to see, what he brings from that FCS level. Is it more of a Damian Lewis type of guy who came in from JUCO and kind of just not dominated, but held his own for sure, and then really picked it up the next year and holding his own in the NFL now? Or a guy like Liam Shanahan who was pretty decent, but you could tell that he was kind of in over his head athletically. So, it'll be interesting to see. I agree with you, though. I do want Xavier Hill to push Shorts, but I think Shorts, that first starting five that lines up the first snap of the game against Florida State, I think Shorts will be on there.
All right, so let's move over to right guard. Probably going to be between Miles Frazier. I think he's got maybe 3 years eligibility left.
Yeah, he's a redshirt
sophomore, and he's from FIU, Florida International.
Yeah,
and Cardell Thomas, who 5-star, hasn't really played much. Actually, had 4 starts last year. Which
insane.
might surprise people.
I don't even know.
It's just crazy. We got banged up at the end of the year, and I know he started the bowl game, and I think he may have started against Arkansas. Kind of came on late. You heard the praise from Coach Brad Davis of him, like he was working hard and getting in better shape. And you want to hear that Cardell is pushing Miles Frazier because he's a junior this year, and I think that everyone expected him to be, he was the top guard in the country, 5-star O lineman, had a lot of pressure on him and hasn't done much. You'd hope that Cardell can push him because, again, that makes me feel good about the depth. Somebody's going down on the offensive line at some point. It's a long season. Rory, how beat up they get. And you don't hope that that's a pretty even race. That, again, would make me feel good.
Yeah, I don't think there was one. I don't think there's ever a full season for anybody where you get the same starting 5 offensive linemen all year. If you do, you're definitely an outlier. It just doesn't work that way. But to get onto Cardell Thomas, I think that people who know offensive line saw him and saw what he looked like. This kid, he has athleticism, but the way he's built just will not stand in college football. When he came in as a freshman, you're like, obviously you want this kid to play, but he is not built to play as a freshman. Somebody that had to come in and almost re-engineer their body and the way that they're built. That he had like that big long torso and the skinny legs in high school, and that just wasn't gonna work, when you get to college. But he has all the athleticism there, so like you said, I would love for him to be pushing in the fall now, in camp and vying for a spot. I think any competition on the offensive line is always good competition. When you're vying for that starting spot, it just means that you have depth. When you have multiple guys rotating in, trying to play a position, it usually means that you have depth on the offensive line.
Yeah, and a guy who might, I guess they'll play him at guard, Emery Jones, from Catholic High, huge recruit.
Who was that?
Very important to land him. You'd also hope to hear really good things about him coming out of camp, and Bo Bordelon, the other freshman. He was a little bit, wasn't as highly recruited as like Emery Jones. He'll definitely probably take a redshirt year.
Yeah.
But those are two freshmen that you hope to hear about making some noise. Fitzgerald West too probably needs a year or two to develop. But I think overall, even though we haven't talked about the tackles yet, I feel better about the offensive line this year than last year, even though we've lost a lot of starters just because it's Brad Davis' second year. And I mean, they talked about how big of a change it was. I mean, AD came on this show and talked about that last year, and that kind of worried me a little bit. But it seems like now they're all used to Coach Davis and the systems in place. And man, I tell you, we went to that practice, and all the reports have come out about how they were worn out. AD played like every snap that entire practice. Or
Yeah.
you remember how? I mean, he was soaking wet. His pads were wet.
Yeah.
After, and he just looked absolutely exhausted when we talked to him after that practice. So hopefully better routine this year. Guys are in better shape. They know Coach Davis and they know what they're going to get. And guess we'll move on to left tackle here.
Also, I mean, just to piggyback off you for a second,
Sure.
when you talk about offensive line and coaching, you have to also talk about Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly at Notre Dame,
You're right.
had produced, if not 10, 9 or 8 high level offensive line draft picks. I think he had at least 5 first rounders at Notre Dame. I'm trying to think.
I mean, he really has, and that's one thing that's been a constant throughout his career. That he's just been, really good at finding his guys. I saw that Hunt Palmer one day on the radio on Hunt and Hill did like a research of the body type that he typically goes after and turns into pros, and it was incredible. They were all like the same, not super high rated in high school, but they all ended up being like first round picks, all the same guys. So it was impressive to see what he's done. He obviously knows what he is looking for there.
Yeah, I looked it up. 7 O linemen drafted, 4 first rounders. So the pedigree is there, and that's no easy thing to do. So the pedigree is definitely there, and some of the best, O linemen in the NFL are former Notre Dame guys. Talk about Quentin Nelson.
Yeah,
former
he
Notre
is
Dame.
mean. He's one of my favorite players to watch in the NFL. Like his mic'd up or his little highlight tape is one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah, for sure. So it's just there's pedigree there, and I agree. I think having that second year with Brad Davis is really going to help. I'm super glad that Brian Kelly retained him.
All right, so this is maybe the most interesting position in the offensive line at left tackle, because we'll talk about right tackle after, but I think Cam Wire is going to be the right tackle. I think they feel comfortable with him. Another offseason, getting stronger, getting bigger. I think he'll be the starting right tackle. But left tackle is going to be between, I think, freshman Will Campbell. I don't know if he ended up a 5-star, but very, very highly recruited if he wasn't. Early enrollee, was here in the spring, basically held down the left tackle spot over Anthony Bradford, but Garrett Dellinger wasn't there. So I think between Campbell, Dellinger, and Bradford. Hopefully it's a tight battle. And I really want to hear good things about Bradford because he was another high recruit, and they talked about how strong he is. I don't know if those rumors that he would transfer and stuff. So I guess we'll see what happens. But like, I feel like all three of those guys like could and should have really good LSU careers.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I was surprised by Will Campbell coming in the spring game, playing like he did. But again, I don't know if he's there with Dellinger healthy. Um, I think, if Dellinger's not vying for center, like you said, he's vying for left tackle.
Yeah,
Um, and Anthony Bradford as well. I mean, like you said, Anthony
sure.
Bradford, good player, junior, been there, a while.
Was a little top heavy at first, I believe.
Yeah. But played, 3 games as a freshman, 7 games as a sophomore, played
Yes.
6 games last year, started 5. He's been around the block.
So even though they're only returning one starter, they have played a lot of games between Dellinger, Bradford, Shorts. Xavier Hill's played a lot last year. Marlon Martinez, Charles Turner both played. And Cardell Thomas started and Cam Wire. And I think Doomerville started a game or two. So a lot of guys have played on this O-line, even though they haven't played together much. I think that'll be extremely important. I mean, how rare is it? Would you take the same starting 5 in the spring and into the starting game? I mean, is it usually 4 out of the 5? What would you guess, Rory?
I think it would be 3 or 4.
Yeah, because Campbell's been amazing. It's hard for us to sit here and be like, I don't think he's going to start.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which
the
could
coaches
also
love him. Brian Kelly loves him.
Yeah, and it could push. Hopefully, like you said, hopefully Bradford doesn't transfer, but could push Bradford into a fight for guard.
I agree.
Or the thing is, camp is long, and people are going to get banged up, so you're going to get your shot.
Yeah.
You're not going to be sitting on the side. There's going to be 8 to 9, probably 8 offensive linemen who get first team reps during camp. Just because the way the wind blows, somebody gets banged up. They're seeing somebody else. Or, probably 9 this year. We're talking about guys mixing and
I
matching.
think easily 9. Yeah.
But even like last year when you pretty much brought back, the same starting 5, they still probably had 8 guys hit the line for ones just because the way camp rolls. So, it'll be interesting to see. But the thing is, I think that with Brad Davis and Brian Kelly, you're going to put the best 11 out there. How it looks is how it looks. But he's going to get the best 5 offensive linemen and figure out a way to get them out there.
Yeah, I'm going to say Campbell's going to be the left tackle, and Dellinger's going to be the center, just because that's really my hope. I feel like that may be the most solid offensive line. Maybe they're the 5 best, but we'll see. The left tackle is interesting to me because what they do with Dellinger, I think he's really like the swing piece.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be the best 5 with Bradford coming in as your 6th man, and then for guard tackle, and then probably Turner coming in as your backup center.
Yeah,
I would be very happy with that. If that's how the dice rolled. But like you're saying about Campbell, he took that spot in the spring. He wasn't given that spot.
no.
You had to earn that spot.
And you saw some of the reps from him, and then you saw him in the spring game. Trying to block BJ Ojolari and Ali Gay, and actually doing a pretty solid job. Which, that's about as real as a competition you're going to get with BJ and Ali.
Exactly. There really aren't many edge rushers better than BJ in the country.
Sure.
Especially, I mean, the only other guys that you're going to see better than BJ is Will Anderson Jr. When we play Alabama.
Yep.
Who might win the Heisman?
Yeah. I think that he will because
Win the
they're not going to
Heisman?
get. I don't think they're going to give it to Bryce Young back to back. I mean, he shouldn't have won it
Well,
last year, but
let's
There's
talk
going to
about
be
the
somebody
Heisman.
that comes out of nowhere.
yeah, we'll talk about the Heisman later.
Oh, yeah.
I have a Heisman as well as
future?
wins pick. Yeah.
All right.
Ah.
So we'll go to right tackle. It's between I think Dumerville or Cam Wire. Also, I think you put Dellinger in this conversation. If they feel like Campbell's the guy at left tackle, I think they move him over to push Wire. Dumerville's played some. Wire's played a lot. I think that it's a big money year for Wire.
Yeah. I
Like
think it's Wires to lose. I think it's I really don't I can't imagine it's really even a competition. I think if Wire's healthy, Wire's starting.
And I mean, he's a senior, could possibly get drafted. He does have the frame, I think, to play in the NFL. So
he definitely has the length and
yeah,
and the height to play in the NFL for sure, being an NFL tackle. I don't know. He's so on and off with the injuries. I can't really
sure.
tell you whether or not I think he has the lateral quickness and stuff like that. But he definitely has a body type, and I think he's a starter until unless he goes down with injury.
Yeah, then I think the only guy we haven't mentioned, I may have missed somebody else, but Kime Mayo, I don't know how you say it. They signed him last year. I don't think he was a red shirt. I think he was like one of the last guys in that signing class for O's last signing class. Don't really know much about him. I know he's from Florida, but I think we got everybody covered. But like I said, I feel better about the offensive line just because it's Brad Davis year 2, and like Rory said, it's Brian Kelly. He can coach O-line.
Yeah. I think, I mean, just like as you said, I think that we'll see improvement from last year for sure. I don't know if you'll see like a big step yet, but a big step is coming for sure. I think that LSU will soon have those Notre Dame type of offensive lines. I mean, those really good players, always very solid offensive line. I think that's coming.
Just kind of wrap up. Some stuff that I was just kind of pondering while y'all were giving y'all's expert analysis, which by the way, that was fantastic. The quarterback situation this year, it's a little bit different than previous years, given that the quarterback room is so full and so diverse. Is that going to make it more challenging? I guess swapping between, like, I'm going to throw a hypothetical out there, and this is not what I think is going to happen at all. Say Miles Brennan starts the first game, gets injured, or doesn't perform like we think. Then Jaden Daniels comes in. Obviously, those are two completely different types of quarterbacks. Miles Brennan being more of a pocket passer, Jaden Daniels being more of the dual threat guy. Does that get into the mindset of your offensive line, or is Brian Kelly and Brad Davis, like, they had to have thought about that, right? Like, how are they preparing for that, and how difficult would that be to swap between the different styles that we have?
I don't know if Coach Kelly's going to say it like in the media, but I think people are going to be able to tell. Like, he said that they would make their decision and then tailor the offense to the quarterback. It's something I like to hear. I think whenever you have coaches and people say that, like, we're going to run our system or whatever, that's just not a good idea, because some people are going to have different skill sets than others.
It's not the same.
And a lot of people have adapted to that. But Brian Kelly, I mean, he's a top probably 3 in-game coach in college football. I saw like the players on the Notre Dame podcast said like he's the best in-game coach like ever. Like they're like he's incredible in game, like different scenarios and stuff. Like he doesn't blow fourth quarter leads. He doesn't have time clock management issues. He is smart. He knows what he's doing, and I think that the offense will be tailored to the quarterback. If that, I mean, that's not really answering your question, but I feel like they're gonna know going in.
I think the way that you block, I mean, running like running plays, it doesn't matter. You're meeting an assignment, and even passing plays. I don't think the way that you block changes for a pocket passer versus scrambling quarterback. At times, you'd almost prefer a pocket passer because they're just going to stand back there and not let themselves be sacked by their own movements. Sometimes you'll get scramblers or guys that do well in the open field, like to get out the pocket. But the problem with that can be if you have a guy that likes to do that and he doesn't really have that internal clock yet, he'll kind of move out the pocket when it's not really time. He had a clean pocket, and then almost get himself sacked.
Yeah, that I think happened to Nuss at times, which he was a young quarterback, but that used to happen to like Anthony Jennings and some of our older LSU quarterbacks. As I think back,
Yeah, and
they would kind of run into a sack, right?
Yeah, and it happens, at all levels, all different kinds of
Yeah.
quarterback. But it's like it can be frustrating as an offensive lineman. You have all five guys get their assignments, you get blocked, and you have a guy who gets a little ants in his pants and moves out the pocket. Sometimes, I mean,
Out the box too.
That's right.
And sometimes you make great plays, and sometimes you get sacked. So it's a double-edged sword. But
yeah, I mean, Burrow was really. I mean, that's not a really fair comparison, but he was so good at knowing when to scramble, and I mean,
he had a clock in his head.
Some NFL quarterbacks still run themselves into sacks, like Rory said. It's at all levels, but Joe really knew like when the right time to scramble was, or when he had to stay in there, take the hit, and let it go.
It's just crazy how he calculated with whatever play he was running. He goes, "This is how long I have in the pocket,"
and that's how that's how the Bengals went to the Super Bowl this year with the offensive line they had. I mean, their offensive line was average. It wasn't horrible. I mean, it was pretty bad at times, but it was also pretty good at times. So I would say it was a very average offensive line. But I mean, Joe with that internal clock, knowing how to get away, that
I mean, in 2019, I think Joe is in the picture or one of the pictures they took with the Joe Moore Award. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
for the O lineman. He should be in that picture.
Yeah, he should be.
Because I mean, it was a good O line, but like it probably wasn't technically the best, but he was just I mean, he just made them look incredible too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's definitely give and take, and that's kind of why I asked the question. I mean, that you have this diverse quarterback room. I mean, it's not just a pocket passer or a dual threat guy mainly running. I mean, Rory knows better than anybody. Like, run blocking and pass blocking are two completely different skill sets, and you can be great at run blocking and great at pass blocking, but it's hard to have both. So that's why I asked those questions. Second thought, this is just a quick one. I do want Emery Jones. I want to implore Emery Jones. I know he's busy. I know they reported today, and we're going to kind of talk about that as well, but for fall camp. But I want to implore Emery Jones to talk to his buddy, Sheldon Sampson, over at Catholic High as well, top-ranked wide receiver. I think he's making his announcement this Saturday, August 6th, in the Catholic High gym. He's already got his mind made up, but I'm pretty sure if he already knows where he's going, then Emery Jones knows where he's going as well. So if he's not going to LSU, I want Emery Jones to fix that. So
that's soon, huh? Like this week.
It's Saturday.
Yeah, it's Saturday.
Yeah. So Sheldon Sampson. That would, by the way, I mean, we'll get to that, and we'll know by next week if he commits to LSU or not. But the Catholic High bond is strong. I think if you have a guy who's already in the LSU program, clearly they're friends. There's
Sure.
no way they're not friends, like being on the team and going to Catholic and clearly he's talking about Brian Kelly and whatnot. I just hope that impression is hitting Emery Jones hard enough to where he's like, dude, you got to come here. So anyway.
Yep. Hopefully we get him. I mean, if we can get him, Ricky Collins just decommitted. A couple other in-state guys. We're not getting Osbury, but if we get a couple other in-state guys, the class could end up being really good. That's a whole other topic, though. So I'll cut that off.
Nice. That was great.
Short and sweet.
Great awareness, Luffy. Some awareness that I don't normally have. All right. As we clean up the off the charts segment, we cannot clean up anything on the Out the Box podcast without mentioning our good friend Martin Padial.
Martin's been grinding. Just letting y'all know he has been grinding. I'm seeing every time I drive through a new neighborhood, I take a new street. I like to take different routes home or, wherever I'm going. And there's always a workbox dumpster followed by a beautiful, clean workbox porta potty right next to it. If you're redoing a house, if you're buying a new house and need to redo a room, or if you're constructing a house, you have to call Workbox. If you need a storage container, a portable office, portable restroom rentals, luxury, porta potties, or roll-off dumpsters, it is 225-343-4886. You have to call Martina Workbox. If you need any of these services, they're the best in the state of Louisiana. Call Martina Workbox at 225-343-4886. Cleanest porta potties out there.
225-343-4886. You didn't think I had that memorized, did
Boom. You got it.
All right. So this is a quick this is the 2-minute drill segment. I just came up with the name of that segment. I don't know where I got it from, but
never heard it before.
Tyrann Mathieu. Tyrann Mathieu caused a little bit of speculation. Like I've said time and time again, I have a guy who is a huge Saints fan at work. And he keeps me updated on everything Saints, like all day, every day. He's listening to the Locked On Saints podcast and 104.5 and whatnot. And he only listens for the Saints stuff. But he mentioned today, and I saw this yesterday. I'll give it a little background. So basically, Tyrann Mathieu hasn't been practicing. Nobody knows why. He went on his Instagram, deleted all of his Saints affiliated post, and everybody is not like freaking out about it, but there's a few people who have noticed and been like just asking the question, what's the deal? Where is this going? What is causing him to do this? Why, if you just came home to the Saints, there was a big homecoming, you went to LSU, like what's going on? The theory that my buddy at work has is that there's something going on off the field. Not like nothing bad or anything like that, but something that he's got to take care of as far as a family issue. Now, my question is, why delete the same stuff off of Instagram?
Honey Badger's back.
Yeah, but he did go back to practice. But at the same time, what changed?
I don't know. Did he delete like a bunch of posts, Rory, or was it
everything Saints related?
I'm gonna have to go lower.
Is it still deleted? I'm looking right now.
Well, you can't undelete stuff on Instagram. I don't know.
You can unarchive it. I don't know. Maybe he just wanted to clean up his feed.
Yeah.
He saw he was getting bogged down. He just posted a Saints thing today.
Well, yeah, because he was back at practice today. I'm just saying, okay, clearly y'all been focused. Clearly, Rory, your head hasn't been in and out the box. It's been in other things that are not as important, like the state bar exam. And Luffy.
Honey Badger doesn't care, dude. Honey Badger does what he wants. He can show up whenever the fuck he wants. Yeah. It's the Honey Badger.
Okay.
Also, now it's like mostly his girlfriend or his wife. I don't know who it is, but maybe he just wanted to show that he's just committed to her, That's okay. Now it's just all her.
All right. Well, this
is all just her.
All right. Well, all right. The 2-minute drill's over. Y'all cooked me on that.
I do like the guy at work thinking he has the inside scoop with that he has family issues when that's like that was the report that he had family issues.
No, I
Or
mean
like
when I tell you, I like
that was like the public report. You know, I had somebody that told me that he had heard that he was retiring.
no, I mean when I tell you this guy like diehard Saints, listens to it everything,
Who
and
Dat Nation? He's a part of Who Dat Nation.
no, I mean he's great, and I love working with him, but he fills me in on stuff, and it's like whenever I can't like get to the scoop myself, he brings it to me. So
Does he listen to this podcast?
I don't know.
Okay.
Guess we'll find out. Hey,
Yeah.
I guarantee if it's not like Saints theme, so he probably doesn't.
Yeah,
So.
probably right.
But anyway,
It's too much LSU for him to listen to.
yeah, I mean he likes LSU, but he knows the Saints don't draft LSU players. So all right. Since y'all just cooked me on that, I thought we were gonna have a little more time to drum up the next ad read, but I guess we'll just go with the House Bar in Tigerland. Shout out to the House Bar in Tigerland. And before I even start talking about the House Bar in Tigerland, I want to air my grievances with Rory. 2 weeks ago, Rory, I believe, took his leave of absence. Maybe it was the week before that, but Rory made a post on Instagram that was very heartfelt and very touching. It was the end of his DJing career. I basically put it on a tee for myself and knocked it out the park. I gave Rory a tribute to end all tributes. And it's making me cry just kind of thinking about it. But I texted Rory like a week later and I said, "Did you hear my tribute?" And he said, "I did not." And then the fact that he hasn't texted me about it since then means that I know he has not heard it. But
I'll listen to it.
All that to say, Rory, you need to get out to the House Bar in Tigerland. The House Bar in Tigerland's popping on Thursdays. School's starting. I say it's popping on Thursdays, but it's popping pretty much every night of the week. You can check out the House Bar in Tigerland on Facebook and Instagram at Tigerland House and on Twitter at
Tigerland Bridge back open as well.
Yes. On Twitter at Tigerland House and on Facebook and Instagram at House of Tigerland. We texted Jeff the other day. He's ready to help us out with some tailgates. Jeff's like one of the coolest guys I know because he goes, "Just let me know I got y'all." Is that not what he said? Like he goes, "I got
response.
y'all." Yeah, it's like, okay.
Whatever you need.
Right. So we're ready for tailgate season. Rory,
I did send him a picture. Yes, me and John James will be there. And also John and James separately.
And John and James, John Wallace and James Love. Yeah,
exactly. John James Luke will be there.
I thought was that his last name that we revealed?
I don't think
I thought his last name was John James.
We haven't.
John James Ponderosa.
That's middle name.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
John James.
It's a double first
Ponderosa.
name. That's middle. We haven't revealed the last yet. We will though.
John James Ponderosa.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
But I did. I hope he does get his one. But they had a cool flag in the house bar. That's like the old house before the renovations, like a picture of the bar stools. And I told him that I would need to get one of those for the
hang it in the nursery.
Yes, we're gonna surround Mr. John James
Ponderosa.
Ponderosa.
Like 30 of those, fill the entire walls of the room.
All right, I'll go first. I haven't been on in a few weeks, so I'm hitting a 2-for-1. You know, it's a dog days of summer. Don't forget about Mets to win the NL. Even after the Padres trade, who cares about the Padres? More games for the Mets to win. They don't have to see Juan Soto so much. All right. Player futures. Talked about it earlier. Heisman Trophy 2022. I'm giving 2 because they're long shots. So I'm allowed to give 2. I made up that rule myself. First, I like for a guy that a lot of people probably don't know right now, but Malik Cunningham, quarterback from Louisville.
Yep.
Very good player, Lamar Jackson esque. Runs, throws touchdowns, runs for touchdowns. I think last year he had 18 rushing, 18 passing in the same season. Very few people with that same stat kind of remind you of the Lamar Jackson. He also plays for Louisville, which is just good enough to where you can win a Heisman, obviously, but also not too good to where you have to play crazy teams every week, so you can also get your numbers up. Important. You don't have to be a crazy good team to win the Heisman. You just have to be, you're 10-2, 9-3, and go nuts. Another guy. All right, so I'm picking two. Like I said, comeback could be comeback player of the year, aka Heisman. Also, Malik Cunningham was plus 6,000. Other guy like plus 5,500. Spencer Rattler. Hot take here,
Ew.
but Spencer Rattler.
Gamecock country. Let's
I
ride.
think. I
There's
think
no
most people
way.
know.
Gamecock country. Let's
That's
ride.
right.
Is it bad that I have no idea what y'all are talking about?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it does. Bronco country. Let's ride.
Rory, you weren't supposed to be on Twitter for the last month or so.
That's
Dude,
longer than.
But I think the pedigree's there. The dude, what's going through my mind right now is I think most people watch the Friday Night Lights or whatever the show was on Netflix with Spencer Rattler. Saw him go to Oklahoma, get his clock clean, get replaced by Caleb Williams, who I also like, but he's only like plus 700. That's not worth it. But I think the humbling going to South Carolina might help him. He was humbled. He was humbled at Oklahoma, did not go as he wanted to. Humbled, the talent's there. Humbled, maybe new approach. South Carolina Gamecocks, SEC school, South Carolina goes 10-2 with losses to Georgia. Maybe they beat Florida. I don't know their schedule. But they lose to Georgia, lose to another SEC school or whoever they play. Maybe they play Alabama. I don't know.
I mean, he was the number one overall pick in every draft board, before the season started.
Exactly. The talent is there.
No, it's worth
and
throwing a flyer, but
I think the attitude was a problem, and I think he could have. I mean, this is just a hunch. I have no idea, but humbled going to South Carolina, pull off an upset here or there, go 10-2. You're in the Heisman conversation there.
All right.
So those are my two picks.
I'm gonna go. Since last week I went Pats -1. They're at the Steelers. First week of the year.
I like that.
So no result on that pick yet. Now I'm going September 1st game, which I think is the Thursday night college football slate. You're going to want something to bet on. Louisiana Tech going to Missouri. Missouri stinks. Louisiana Tech plus 20 all day.
Thursday night. Ooh, I like that.
I don't remember my last pick because that was over a week ago. But I have a pick this week, and I'm going to go with the state of Texas on the DraftKings Sportsbook, which, by the way, shout out to the DraftKings Sportsbook. They are the official sports betting partner of the MLB. Make sure to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. Use promo code BOOT. Bet just $5 on any team. Win $100 in free bets if your team wins. Make sure to follow DraftKings on social media. They want you to know that if sports betting is not legal in your state yet, don't fret. Sports betting is on the way, by the way. But you can play free for thousands in prizes on DraftKings daily fantasy sports. They also have tons of UFC bets. They have bets for everything. Bets you wouldn't even be able to find on your little illegal offshore betting website, Bet AG or Bet Hoosiers, XLT, whatever. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code BOOTBET. Just $5, win $200 in free bets. If your team wins their game, I think I might have said 100. It's 200. It's promo code BOOT and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. 21 plus restrictions apply. MLB trademark. Use with permission. See show notes for details. All right. I'm taking the state of Texas to win the World Series.
I like it.
Either the Rangers or the Stros. I'm basically picking the Stros plus 425. Hey, Josh Smith's on the Rangers, so he might carry them on.
Watch the game last night.
He might carry them on, but the Fields plus 275. The state of New York is like the heavy favorite.
They're probably almost like
just because the Yankees, though, right?
Yeah,
Is
there another team that's good?
The Yankees
Is
are
there
driving
another?
that value up so much. Like,
Yeah.
they're down.
This is pretty much just the Yankees, huh?
Yeah, it's only
Is there
the
another?
Yankees.
Yeah.
The
No.
Jets. The Jets.
No, that's
It's
football.
after that
Okay.
Andrew Benintendi trade. Yankees
Yankees, yeah.
World Series. It's just went straight up.
Because Mets are done because DeGrom just got hurt again.
Yeah.
By the time you're hearing this, DeGrom's hurt again.
Hurts, doesn't it? State of Texas.
Also,
Plus 425.
quick bounce. I feel like I can't find him on here, but like I feel like I have to bet Tony Finau to go 3 in a row.
He's not playing this week.
All right. That's why I couldn't find him.
Mhm.
I was like, how can you not go for 3 in a row?
He'll be back the week after, though.
All right. When he comes back, I'm betting him.
If he doesn't like skip down the fairway and break his ankle again.
Yeah, that was bad. Then he almost won that year. So
That was awesome. Shout out to the House Bar and Tigerland Workbox LLC. Blaine Loop with Keller Williams Realty, who also want you to know that Keller Williams is an equal opportunity housing partner. Each office independently owned and operated. DraftKings, the Boot Crew Media Network, and all of you. We say it every single week. We love you guys. We love our fans. I'm not going to say love you guys like they do on Pardon My Take, that podcast, whatever. But we really do. We're looking so much forward to tailgate season. Luffy, I was just telling him before this episode started that I bought me a fresh LSU polo. It's not a polo, but a fresh LSU college shirt. I'm going to debut it. I debuted it today at work, but I'm going to debut it on a social setting for the first tailgate. So we're looking forward to that.
Can't wait to see you.
Are you going to be there?
No, I'm not. Well, are you going to New Orleans?
Yep, I'll be there.
No, I won't be there.
Okay. Why'd you ask? But anyway, Rory, I just wanted to let you know I really am upset that I texted you about the tribute and people were asking, they're like, does Rory just like, is he just like under a rock? Like, what is he doing? Like, they were like, I get he's studying for the bar and it's the most important test of his life. And if he doesn't pass,
blah, blah, blah,
he's not
blah.
gonna be able to support his kid and whatnot. But at the same time, like, you can listen to a podcast while you study.
Have you ever tried to listen to a podcast? Like,
Imagine
listen to a
listening.
podcast and read words at the same time.
Yeah, I forget that you do a lot of reading in law,
Yeah.
practicing law. So
Hey, Tiger Nation, let's ride. You haven't seen that
I
video?
can't believe you haven't seen that, John.
Yeah, you have to like live under a rock. It was on